Shut these windows because of the nature noises.
You don't even shut the windows.
Nature noises. Welcome to the Nature Noises podcast. I'm your host, Nature Dan.
I'm Nature Brad.
I'm not Nature Dan. I thought we were doing fake names. Come on, I screwed it up.
I'm Artificial John.
I'm only Brad.
From Preserve.
I am not actually Nature
Plastics.
Dan. I lied to you. I'm sorry. I will go commit ritual suicide
Nature
now.
Dan.
Nature Dan, Nature
Yeah.
Jan, Nature
I'm
Flan.
Nature Jesse.
Nature Flower.
All right, we're back again. Yeah. We're the Snastcast.
We're the Snast.
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
all I can say about
We
that.
lied to you again.
Yeah.
The amount of lies in this podcast is absurd.
Are you just going to turn us off because I know you
Take
won't?
all of our word
I
as
don't think-
gospel.
I don't
I
think
don't
I dare you to.
I don't think we've ever told the truth on this podcast,
No,
to be honest.
we're
No. I would
I
be
mean,
lying to you the entire
Even
time.
though we were saying this part happens in Mad Max, it
We're-
doesn't actually.
We haven't even told you our real names.
We're
I
actually,
bet you went and looked it up too.
Yeah.
we're actually Russian troops who are currently invading the Ukraine right now, and
Hey,
we're just recording.
Welcome to Propaganda Cast.
It's a little summer project we're working on.
Welcome to Subliminal Messaging
Don't
Cast.
you hear the gunfire in the background?
It's not summer in Russia.
I wish.
It's always winter. It's the land of always winter. They got White Walkers and everything there.
The opposite of always. It's the opposite of Philadelphia. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's always winter.
Yeah, but it can be
Soviet
winter and
Russia.
still be sunny. It's just cloudy.
Yeah, I guess.
Wait, but no, never. What? I
No.
screwed that one up.
Yeah, you did.
Always sunny.
You're
good
done.
show.
Wow.
So how many people are gonna die of Zika during the Olympics? Do you think?
All of them.
All of them.
All of
Michael Phelps is gonna die
He's gonna die the
while
worst.
he's carrying the U.S. flag.
He's going to smoke weed, carry the U.S. flag, and then
He just
die.
walks out and it basically turns into like the Last Crusade scene where the guy like super ages and turns into a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when you said Last Crusades, I was thinking, what's the movie where it's about the Crusades that Orlando Bloom is in? Kingdom of Heaven.
Orlando.
I was thinking he's gonna like go in like the king who had leprosy. You know, with that ornate silver mask he's got on, he's gonna take it off. He's gonna be like,
I've never seen that movie.
"This is what a Zika survivor looks like," and his face is all eaten away because of leprosy.
ISIS is going to take control of the Summer Olympics, and they're going to have their own games.
I bet.
Their own terrorist game.
Which
Yeah.
of you can
What would-
survive beheading the longest?
No, yeah. What would the games be at the ISIS Olympics?
Well, yeah, they'll definitely be beheading. See who can behead someone the fastest.
They drowned a bunch of people in a cage.
There you go.
Yeah.
They can do that.
Do they?
See how far someone can run while on fire.
That would be radical.
See
They
how
light them. They light them on fire with the Olympic torch.
See how long you can last getting nitric acid poured on you.
Yeah,
I saw this
it'd be a fun time.
this Adult Swim like animation intro thing that was human body jousting. It was just these two super buff dudes who just run at each other at full speed and just explode on impact.
Adult Swim is great.
Yeah.
Adult Swim has always been great.
I really like just those like stupid like 15-second animations. 'Cause
The,
they're always
the
really
bumps they do and
they're
stuff.
always really like weird and off-putting, but I like them a lot. They're
Yeah.
interesting.
I think people started really getting back into Adult Swim when Too Many Cooks came out.
Yeah.
Like that was a big
helped.
thing. Like that's gotten so many like views on the YouTube alone. It's
On
just
the
so
YouTubes,
crazy.
on the interwebs.
Yeah. Too many. It's so catchy and it's so goofy.
They should make a sequel called Not Enough Cooks.
Not enough cooks.
It's just an empty kitchen for 15 minutes.
And it's
Just
like
15
really
minutes of
slow and
silence.
somber music. Just not enough.
A guy
I can
runs in,
see
he's
that.
like, "We have orders to fill, sir. There are not enough cooks." Dun dun dun.
If you like Too Many Cooks, look up This House Has People in It.
God,
It's off their same program
it's a
called Off the Air.
similar vibe, but there's no funny parts of This House Has People in it.
It's really cool though.
It's just evil.
It's evil.
It's about a house that has people in it.
That's exactly
nice.
what it's about. There are no tricks here.
Nope, it's just security cams of people living in a house.
Some Lyme's disease, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So I exploited the system and I got a medical pass for PAX. My broken ass foot.
Your one
What is a
broken
medical
bone in your
pass
foot.
give you?
So I get early access to the expo hall on Friday and like priority queuing and panels at some of the panels and stuff.
You know, there's probably gonna be people like legit disabled people who are gonna be screwing around. They're gonna see you and just get really pissed off.
I'm gonna
that
still have my boot, and I'm probably gonna either be on crutches or on one of those like knee scooter things, because I could at that point I'll probably be able to put weight on it, but it's not a great idea to put weight on it like strenuously for 3 days straight.
There's gonna be people in there with like broken pinkies that got passes.
It's only lower extremity injuries, so
Oh,
I
really?
lucked out. Yeah, if I had broken my hand, I would have been
out of luck.
I would have been a bum shit. Basically, like the criteria is like.
Well, what if you walk on your hands though?
Well, I don't know. If you're a fucking
If you
weirdo.
exclusively walk on your hands.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were say if he broke his hand, he couldn't play any of the games. So.
Oh, yeah.
There was some criteria that it was like if you meet like one of these, you qualify, and it's like if you can move like 300 feet continuously without stopping and taking a break, and if it's like you have some sort of assisting like device to assist you to like move, have normal mobility. So like even a boot cast like this or crutches or anything like that, and it's like or some sort of injury or illness that affects your like lower extremities or just normal mobility.
Do you think there's people that intentionally break their feet so that they can get
I'm sure there's assholes who just throw a boot on and just like crutch around in front of the registration desk, and then as soon as they get the pass, they ditch it and just like go
Like
through.
that Always Sunny episode where they pretend to have polio.
Yeah.
Getting the
And they meet the
free
act-
lap dances at strip clubs.
They meet a guy who actually has polio at the mall.
No, because that's the best part. It's just Dennis and Mac in a mall, and they roll up to the guy, and the guy's like, "Oh, how you guys doing?" Then Mac just says, "I have polio." It's the best.
But yeah, so I should be fairly healed at that point, but I mean, I still have a broken foot.
Be
and
lucky
I'll still
that
be
you
able to
didn't
use
break
it.
your hand, so you couldn't play any of the games.
Mm.
Then again, there are people who can play games with like one hand, and there's like a Street Fighter player who plays with a tiny like part of his thumb and his mouth. The guy plays Chun-Li, and he could kick my ass at Street Fighter any day of the week, and I have two fully functioning hands.
That's
It's
the only
ridiculous.
thing he does all day. He has nothing else to do.
Well,
What are you gonna do when you can only move your thumb in your mouth?
Welcome to the 15 Working Extremities podcast.
Yes. 15 extremities.
That's quite a lot of extremities.
Well,
working.
you guys all have working arms and legs. and
okay,
I'm
well,
only 3.
do fingers,
Oh.
can fingers
I'm a-
count as extremities?
Oh, yes.
You are all dirty bipeds, and I do not respect you. You do not know the plights of my people.
That's only 14 extremities, though. That's 2 arms, 2 legs, and, well, I guess your toes and your penis, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would suck to lose that extremity.
How many of
I don't
us have
wanna-
penises, though, is the real question.
Well, let's whip them out. Dicks out for Harambe.
Dicks out for Harambe.
Eventually, I'm gonna release a song called "Dicks Out for Harambe."
When did that?
Oh, you're gonna release that song. You're gonna steal my idea.
Your
and release a song. I'm sure people have already.
I'm sure like at least 500 people on some meme page have already come up with a collab.
I saw this-
Dicks
I
out
stole it
for
from them,
Harambe
John,
song.
not you.
I saw this picture. It was one of those like trolley like question things.
Yep, I
And
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a
Tell
picture.
feature.
Yeah, it was a picture of like a train track, and there was a split track, and it said, okay, one scenario you don't pull the lever and the train hits Harambe and Harambe is killed. The other scenario is Harambe isn't killed, but his memory and legacy is never known, and nobody appreciates it. And it's like the
A
greatest,
true philosophical problem.
the greatest moral dilemma of all time. I don't know.
To be Harambe or not to be Harambe.
I still like that corn is the best, crap weed is the worst post where it's like,
Everybody go on Facebook, look up the meme page. Corn is the best crop and wheat is the worst, and like every post.
they're pretty damn funny.
Yeah.
They're really great. But so basically it's just them like talking about memes about them saying corn is the best crop and wheat is the worst. It's exactly what it sounds like.
For no reason.
For no reason. But there's a post that it's like normal zoo apes versus Harambe, and it's normal zoo apes eat a steady diet of corn-based food and just live normal lives, and then Harambe was a mostly wheat-based diet and got murked by the zoo man.
Yep.
It's true.
Are we gonna do a spoiler cast for Killing Yourself team?
Oh, the
Kill yourself, friends.
the dead
Killing
boy,
Yourself team, yeah.
the dead
The
boy
Kill Yourself
collab.
Man.
No, Killing Yourself team.
We saw Suicide Squad. Let's
Last
throw
night,
out a spoiler. If you haven't seen Suicide Squad, and you don't want to ruin.
Just stop the video right
just
now.
do what we did like in the Mad Max episodes. Just put it.
Okay, maybe.
So we saw Killing Yourself team, and
With the trickster and
The guy from Independence Day.
Captain Crocodile.
Not Living Bullet Firer.
The clown.
I like the movie. A lot of people are saying it's a bad movie, and it is a bad movie, but it's a very fun movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
it does
I
not
had fun.
deserve. I think it deserves at least a 50% on Rotten
It's-
Tomatoes, but not a 33%.
Yeah, I'd say it's a solid like 6 or 7 out of 10. Like it wasn't a good movie. It was a really, really fun movie.
It's very fun. It's very
Objectively-
stylish.
Objectively, I'd give it about a 5 out of 10. But if I could add points to how much I liked it, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
It's solid. Yeah.
yeah. Like just my personal thing is it was fun and I liked it, and I recognized that the main conflict was pointless and a lot of the writing was bad, but like the characters were really fun and the action was cool and like.
And it was way over stylized, but that was part of the fun too.
Yeah, it was just it was a fun movie, and it's definitely not like a 30%. I'd say if I had to rate it just concrete like what my rating was, it'd be like a 6 out of 10.
But I mean,
fine.
it does have
definitely
flaws.
watchable.
It's got enough flaws to the point where it's not worth shutting down Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
For it, but like, because me and John were talking about earlier about like, it just feels very fast. Like the pacing's really weird. Like there are parts that feel incredibly fast and parts that feel incredibly slow.
Yeah, the pacing is one of the weirdest parts.
And it feels like they're trying to jam in and not so much stuff in the movie.
The story's way too complicated.
There were
needed
just
to
two like competing visions for it that it was like they wanted it to be this really goofy like silly one for parts of it, and then it was like no, now it's dark. Now it's just dark.
Yeah,
it was dark and silly, which was a little odd.
It's a little not a very good combination.
But
Just do either one or the other. Like
everybody, I didn't think they were bad. Like everybody did a pretty good job in it, especially like the main people like Will Smith. And
Margot Robbie was awesome.
Margot Robbie is perfect
amazing.
casting.
Yeah.
Perfect casting.
I'm not even like a huge Harley Quinn fan, and I think she's a pretty overblown character, but she was a really, really good Harley Quinn.
Yeah, because all you need for Harley Quinn is just someone to cartwheel around and say, put it in Mr. J.
And here's where the spoilers kind of come in, because the main villain of the movie was Enchantress and her brother. Was that her name?
Yeah.
Enchantress?
And some black guy in a
thought she was
subway.
It was
Yeah.
her brother. Yeah, it was her brother.
She was
Her brother was the main villain, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seemed like she was going to be part of the Suicide Squad, but then she broke off.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like you're sitting there, and I remember watching the trailers. I'm like, how is there going to be this insanely powerful witch going up against a guy who just throws boomerangs? Like it doesn't feel like the team was very evenly stacked.
And related to that, they cut a lot of. Well, I guess it's just rumors, but there's scenes in the trailers where it shows Joker that weren't in the movie at all, and so they obviously cut out some major Joker parts. I feel like Joker was going to be at least half the conflict at one point. That was the plan. And then they decided to cut that out and just have Enchantress be
Honestly,
the
I
main
wish
villain.
it wasn't Enchantress. I wish the main villain was just Joker. 'Cause-
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And the thing is Joker's introduction feels super rushed too. You think like this is the new no one has played Joker for like when did Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight 2008? No one's played Joker for 8 years. We see this like we hear this like all this method acting shit. We think okay,
Yeah, he was mailing
And-
dead
and they-
corpses to the cast and
and
shit.
they knew like the hype was real because they always would show him last in the trailers. Like the first trailer, he was the last person you see. You know, they knew people were hyped for it, and it feels like they just sped through his introduction.
They knew that was going to bring people in, marketing the Joker like that. But my theory about that was they cut him out because they want to use him as a main antagonist in either the Batman movie coming out or the Justice League movie.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Because they wanted Suicide Squad to be its own kind of thing with Enchantress as the main villain.
Jared Leto was pretty good, but he didn't do anything in it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Which
Like,
is a bummer.
We didn't get to see enough Joker, and that's just
He never really had a moment.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean he was
But
he was pretty good. Like he was an interesting Joker, and I would like to see more. You can't really make a decision on if he's great or not at this point because he didn't do anything.
He's probably going to be pretty good. I don't know if he's going to be better than Heath Ledger, but that's kind of hard to compare. It's almost apples to oranges.
Well, you know, you can't really compare like Cesar Romero to Jack Nicholson. They're two completely different Jokers. It's just different interpretations. Though I would say, I personally think Heath Ledger is the most entertaining to watch of all the Jokers we've seen so far. But
I
that's just me.
think with Suicide Squad, I'd like the. It kind of seems like it's setting a tone for the DC cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the tone they're going for, more dark, but then they still can go light with it at some parts.
I think
I feel like that could work.
I like So objectively, a lot of Marvel movies are just better right now than DC movies.
Yeah,
but I like
objectively, yes.
the world that the DC universe is built a lot more.
Oh yeah,
I think it's a lot more unpredictable, and it's a lot more
definitely
interesting.
villains.
Yeah,
And
it's a lot more
it's
interesting.
darker,
And
yeah.
it's not like every Marvel movie, especially origin Marvel movies, are paint by numbers. Like they're entertaining, but they're all exactly the same, and that gets boring. And like it's not. They don't have it. There's not really an interesting world intertwined in their movies. Like they're all on their own, really, really entertaining movies and pretty damn good movies overall. But I'm a lot more interested in like the DC universe at this point.
And I bet one of the main reasons for that is they're the trailblazers for showing that how comic book movies are going to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of had to be really accessible
Yeah.
to make money. And so that,
But Marvel, what I think they do really well is that Marvel realizes how much people love ensemble movies.
Yeah.
Where they show just a bunch of superheroes or supervillains together doing shit. And they do a really good job of intertwining a lot of the movies together, I think.
Yeah.
Like the Captain America, the Thor movies and shit.
I think the DC cinematic universe actually has the benefit of coming second, because then they can kind of
they
the
gauge
general
what
public
people's reactions are.
the general public knows about comic book movies and how they're supposed to go, so they can kind of push it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. One thing I like about the DC ones is they seem to be less they seem to be less accessible to a general audience, but in that way they can also treat their general audience more like adult moviegoers who can think for themselves and like kind of understand conflicts that are a lot more grounded in how people would actually like think and do things. And I don't know, they seem a lot more complex and interesting and like morally gray and confusing than Marvel movies. And I like that's something that's my biggest pet peeve in movies is when movies treat you like a child. Like they give you everything is like in a black and white, like it's given to you on a silver platter. Like I like being able to kind of have a conflict it has no right side to it or has a lot of different sides to it. And I think that's a lot more what DC kind of seems to bring to the table recently.
Yeah, but the counter argument says that that's kind of their target. I mean, comic books are basically just for children. Like if you look at it what it is. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that movies would give you that. And I mean, there's been Marvel movies that do that. There's been DC movies that do that. They always treat you in one way. Like the only exception to that would be like Watchmen. But then you could argue, Watchmen's a graphic novel, and it's definitely not something a kid should be reading and shit like that. So, I don't know, it's all over the place.
That's how comics started really for kids.
I think modern comic books are a lot more geared towards like a more adult audience, like especially like things like the new. I'm trying to think of good examples, but overall, like even just looking at things like the Batman graphic novels, like they're definitely a lot more adult than any. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I don't see comic books as made for children anymore for the most part. Like there definitely are comic books that are, but I wouldn't let a child, like anyone under 12, read Killing Joke because it's just like that's really it's a scary thing. And comic books nowadays more than ever deal with a lot more kind of scary and adult conflicts and.
Yeah.
But I think another reason that you don't see kids reading comics is because of just how a universe is handled. There are so many heroes and villains and alternate timelines and shit and all that crazy stuff that it's really hard unless you're like a long-time dedicated fan that's obviously not going to be a kid to follow.
That's why you need events like the Crisis on Infinite Earths and the New 52 to just kind of restart everything and let a new audience come in and kind of start fresh. And like events like that, like if you started reading, like if you just picked up a copy of the Justice League right now, you'd probably be super confused, especially because there's a lot of really, really big stuff happening in the Justice League comics right now, like huge implications for the whole universe. But I'm not going to get into that because it gets really complex and I'll ramble for hours on it. But like it's hard to jump into comics in the middle. Like you can't do that, and it's also really hard to get your hands on like the beginnings of stories because they're expensive and they're not easy to access and things like that. And there's so much that happens and so many, even between series, like it's hard to keep up with everything for sure.
I think a big reason why they're getting a lot more mature, and they have been a lot more mature since the 80s at least, is because they once they I feel like once they started going darker, especially when The Killing Joke and Dark Knight Returns came out, it might have almost been alienating to kids, and then they're getting a lot more adult attention from those. So I feel like with the internet and all the stuff kids can absorb now, they're not really getting kids into comics anymore. So now they know what demographic they're going for. They're going for the young adult or like 20s to 30-year-olds. And so they can be a lot more darker and a lot more mature, I guess.
That was a wild tangent. Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, I'd actually recommend it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Give it a
See it in the theater.
Go see it.
See it in the theater. It's really fun.
Dude,
I mean, we saw it in a theater where there's like no one there.
Yeah, there was one Harley Quinn cosplayer and maybe three other groups there.
Yeah, it was a midnight premiere. We did.
I don't know. The most entertaining part of that whole thing for me was the one guy talking over the trailers and shit and saying all that stuff.
Yeah, they showed a trailer or a teaser for the new Christopher Nolan World War II film, and it was like
Dunkirk
or something.
The title came up at the end, and some dude was like, "I don't even know how to pronounce that."
It's so funny. And when the super controversial movie now is where it's like some alternate reality, weird magical China thing. It has to do with the Great Wall. And Matt Damon.
It's called the Great Wall.
It's called the Great Wall. And Matt Damon's main character was like, oh, it's whitewashing and shit. And at the end of the trailer, the same guy I think said, "Is that supposed to be the next Jason Bourne movie or something?" I just thought that was supposed.
I love when people do that.
During that whole trailer, everybody was shitting on it because, like, man, Matt Damon really does a great job playing a Chinese character in that movie.
Yeah.
Looking pretty like white for a Chinese fella. Right?
I think I read somewhere that he's playing like one of Marco Polo's like men or something, and that's why he's there and white. But like still.
But again, what does it matter? They're fucking like dragons and shit.
Yeah, I mean, you can
magical.
totally just not have Matt Damon in it and make it like some other Chinese protagonist. And it would nothing would happen to that movie, I think. But they have to have a star brand. They have to have somebody, a big name on it, or else nobody's going to see it.
And I also like the hypocrisy that you see no one bitching that Pedro Pascal is in it. Like, it's only bad if it's a white person in the main role, not if it's a Latino guy.
Well, the thing is, it's a white person in the main role, surrounded by a bunch of Asian people. Like, it feels like they're like, people aren't going to watch this if there's no white guy. Let's get the whitest guy we can, Matt Damon.
It's like Scarlett Johansson in
Ghost in the
Shell.
Yeah,
people are making a big stink about
that's
that.
kind of.
I can actually understand that one because like, couldn't you have at least found one Asian woman to do it? Like, it's not possible.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I gotta say though,
there's that side to whitewashing in Hollywood movies, but then there's the other side where I don't know. There's two sides to every coin. I forgot where I was going with that, so
I was gonna say though, since when do they show like 10 goddamn trailers before movies? It's ridiculous.
Recently, like every time I've gone to movies now, it's like.
And I've seen like most of those trailers.
No, because they're the big action movies. I've gone to movies where they're not big action movies, like on the day they came out, and they don't do that a lot. Really, it's only for the big action movies.
I think it also depends what theater you go to.
Yeah, that too.
They I went to Finding Dory recently, and they had a bazillion trailers.
Well, that's a big movie too.
I think Leah really wanted to see that movie, but the main draw for me was the short in the beginning. Like I really wanted to see it because apparently it's like one of the most unbelievable looking pieces of animation you've ever seen. It is unreal how good that short looks. Like, so it's basically about these two these little sand birds that like run up on a beach when the tide rolls out, and they like pick up these shellfish, and then they run away.
I saw a little bit from that.
Yeah, and then they run away when the tide comes back in, and it's about this one little baby bird who's learning how to do that basically. But like just the sand and the water effects in there are unbelievable. Like they're some of the most amazing animation I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
the
And,
best
like,
animations always come out. Like,
yeah.
just like hearing shit like it took them years to just figure out how to do Sully's fur and Monsters Inc. Like that, that amount of dedication to your craft is just so amazing.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. Also, it was really cute. I don't know.
And
It
the
was-
idea that there was a single shot in Frozen that lasts maybe 8 seconds, and it took them a month to render the entire thing.
Oh yeah, when she's building her castle.
Yeah, I
It's
remember.
Snastcast.
It's
I
specifically
remember-
a shot that
remember-
pans out from her castle.
And
I
the
remember
funny
being-
thing about that, in that same scene later, you see her ponytail clip through her shoulder.
I remember being like really, really impressed by the animation during that sequence.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Frozen.
And just the snow effects, they had to make a whole engine just for that. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And
And just if you look at like things like just like fluid dynamic simulations,
Mm-hmm.
it's so like because usually they use them in like commercials and shit, like in yogurt commercials when they're throwing blueberries into a big thing of cream.
Oh yeah.
Like they use those things. It looks so good if you see them like generate like tidal waves and stuff. It's amazing. I can't even believe you can program a computer to.
but
do
instead we use that technology for the dark purpose of throwing berries into cream.
You know, we could be solving world hunger with this technology.
What madness!
that.
What
We
have
could be
come
solving
to?
world hunger by like simulating like
You sell
Water
simulated
berries.
yogurt
Logurt.
Logurt. That's what it's called.
So,
when all the polys aren't rendered.
Yes.
It's logurt.
And then you get Higurt.
yeah.
Yogurt.
I've had a
1080p Gurt.
going back to DC movies. I've had a kind of full assault of DC movies recently because right before we went to go see Suicide.
Killing yourself.
Seaside Squad.
Yeah, Seaside Squad. I saw the Batman v Superman like Ultimate Director's Cut because I hadn't seen that movie before, and I went in expecting nothing and came out actually really enjoying it myself. I don't know. So the director's cut, from what I hear and have read and just have seen in the movie, is the one to see. Like it's actually like a cohesive.
That's what everyone says. I haven't seen.
It's actually a cohesive movie that makes sense, and like I watched the whole thing and really enjoyed it and was not confused, and I was like, why did everybody get confused by these movies and not understand Lex's plot and all these different things? And then I went back and read everything that they added for this movie, and it 100% made sense why the Batman v Superman theatrical cut is garbage.
Yeah.
Like they cut out so many important pieces to the plot, and even just cool pieces, like things that really added to the movie, like really memorable parts.
I feel good I feel it's awesome for you because you didn't have to watch that piece of shit.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm really happy.
The rest
Like-
of us saw
like-
it in theaters.
Yeah,
It's pretty
so
bad.
yeah, like they like the whole beginning. So minor spoilers. I'm sure people have seen it at this point. The Africa sequence, they extended like quite a bit of it, and it makes perfect sense now.
Yeah.
Whereas that was like one of the main things that like everybody's like, what the fuck is going on?
They're in Africa and now they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is this Africa thing happening here? And they also reveal that it's Jimmy Olsen who gets killed. Like that's
I remember people were bitching about that scene because like a big thing that goes on with that movie, it's partially because Zack Snyder is the director, is it's a bunch of like Superman is Jesus thing, and they thought that Superman saving people in Africa was too much of a white savior narrative. And I'm like, seriously? It's a fucking alien. Like, you gotta be kidding me here.
yeah.
Like,
So, but yeah, they added a lot of really important details. Who would wonder? It's if the plot details and shots are actually important to making your audience understand what's
how much
going
should
on.
it add to the runtime again? Like half an hour?
31
Almost half an
minutes or so.
Yeah.
That would be over half an hour. Then, yeah.
Well, but I looked at the run times and
It was-
the theatrical one is 151.
The-
and the ultimate cut is 181.
182.
God, they should.
100.
But even that, like, even so,
And
yeah,
it's still
I know,
a lot.
I know,
to
I know how much people bitch about 3-hour movies and how long they are and boring. But
Yeah.
I mean, in this case,
It was Batman
was-
versus Superman.
was
Stretch it out
it
a
was
bit.
a
Yeah.
shitty decision by them to cut so much of it because the 3-hour version is by far the superior version, and it's a good movie. Like, it's definitely not perfect, and there were some things that I definitely didn't like about it, but overall I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a really good movie. And yeah, it's long, and yeah, it takes a different approach than Civil War. It's not like this really bright, colorful like superhero romp with all these guys. It's a dark story. And
I wouldn't say that Civil War was very bright all the time. It had pretty dark moments.
Well, like the airport fight for sure was just this. Bright
Yeah,
color.
but that was mostly because of Spider-Man and Ant-Man.
Yeah,
who
it was
are
a bright,
mostly
colorful,
comic-
silly like romp, and that was the main draw of the movie. And I think
Well, the thing with DC movies and Marvel movies, so DC is owned by Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has been doing movies for a long time.
Yeah,
And Marvel
so-
is just Marvel,
but-
and DC Disney just happens to own them, really.
Yeah, Marvel Studios was created to start making their movies off their comic books.
yeah.
But the DC Cinematic Universe came from a studio that already has been making movies for a long time.
Yeah.
So superhero movies are really a different type of movie. They're a different genre of movie pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a clash of trying to do this new genre type style of movie and still having Warner Brothers, the studio, trying to stick back to their roots of how they would do other types of movies. And it's just different because Marvel had an advantage because this Marvel Studios was created just to start making Marvel movies, and Warner Brothers was already there. So they made their policies around making those kind of movies.
One thing I really, really appreciated about, well, this is true in a lot of movies now, and like Marvel movies have, for the most part, always been pretty good about this. But in Batman v Superman specifically, like the Batman fights where he's like fighting the dudes in the warehouse at the end and stuff, like was the camera work in that was so much better than it was in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
Because when I wanted to see in those movies, I was waiting for an awesome Batman fight sequence where he fights a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
But what we got was these really super close up, dark, fast cuts that just you had no idea what was going on at all anywhere, and they got better as they went on. But Batman v Superman, especially the warehouse fight, was. I could understand everything that was going on, and I saw everything, and it was still dark, and it was still Batman fighting. You could tell this is like a very Batman-esque fight, but it didn't have to be pitch black, and it didn't have to be zoomed in on everything all the time. It was cool, it looked cool, and it was like fluid, and I could tell like the sequence of things going on and stuff.
Well, the thing is, the Dark Knight series came out this same time Iron Man was coming out, the Iron Man movies and the Incredible Hulk movie and all that.
Yeah.
When Marvel was starting to make theirs. And the Dark Knight series is different from the new DC Universe movies coming out because it was still that old style of making a comic book adaptation like that. It had a lot of what's the word, verisimilitude or whatever, where it means that they commit. It is a real word, but they commit themselves. That movie commits itself to realism. Really
it
heavily.
doesn't try to say. It doesn't try to necessarily put. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but the
about
thing is-
Batman, but it's like trying to present more
Yeah.
of Gotham than it is Batman.
But the way those movies were made and are presented and how they are, you could not do a Justice League movie.
That's
off
the
of
thing.
that.
I was just gonna say that because I don't think there's ever gonna be an excellent superhero movie where they have actual superpowers. You know,
Yeah.
because superpowers is just unrealistic at the core.
It's impossible to relate to.
Exactly, and there have been excellent movies with totally fantasy shit, like Lord of the Rings, Return of the King is a fantastic movie, and that's totally fantasy. So you can do it, but it's just hard to do it with a super. Like you have to go. Like the only exception again is the Dark Knight trilogy movies, and that's Batman. That's not really a Superman. I mean,
nobody had superpowers.
there's weird stuff that happens where it's like, you know, like it gets a little wacky, but I mean, it feels grounded in reality for the most part.
If Superman showed up in the Dark Knight trilogy, people would just critically pan that thing.
Yeah. I think the only way you can do something like that, where they have actual superpowers, is again do like a TV show like they did with Daredevil or with Jessica Jones or with Luke Cage now, where they have like totally legit superpowers and things like that. But you can spend a lot more time fleshing out the character and really play down. Like in Daredevil, they play up his powers a lot. In Jessica Jones, they really play down her powers, and I think that's why that show is really good. You know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be an excellent superhero movie with actual superpowers.
And going back to comparing it to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Lord of the Rings is different. It has its own universe and its own rules in that universe. And the thing with the Dark Knight trilogy was it was applying Batman to our...
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it was more about painting Gotham than it was Batman.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, it was more like making it
Batman
believable.
Begins has a lot to do with Batman as a character, but once you get to like Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, again, more the city and the underlings of the city get pushed to the forefront, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah, but now with these new ones, they're looking at what Marvel's doing, and they see that has a lot more longevity than trying to do a Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, because people like
For every
spectacle.
superhero.
People like these heroes to look up to and these icons.
Yeah.
And you know, they like crazy action scenes, but they also, but in the long run, they appreciate the complexity of movies like Dark Knight. You know, it's like Pepsi versus Coke. Pepsi is sweeter than Coke, so when you taste test them, do the Pepsi challenge, you're gonna like Pepsi more because it's just bam right in your face. But you're gonna like Coke more in the long run because it just is better overall.
Yeah. And we're not saying the Dark Knight trilogy is bad by any means. It's just
I don't think
it's
anything's-
different. It's really awesome.
I think it's great.
Dark Knight
yeah.
is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time.
So,
But
question. I've always like wondered this, and I have my own answer to this, but like, what city do you think Gotham is more, like New York or Chicago?
New York.
I've always said Chicago.
It's got a
Well, there's
river
different-
running through it. It's got all those things. It's definitely New York.
There's different-
Chicago has a river running through it.
there's
Yeah,
different
but I
parts
think
of
it's
New
more
York though. New York is really big.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, what-
there's
No, I
The way
think
I've
no,
always-
because I think remember we saw Suicide Squad. It takes place in Midwest City. I think that's supposed to be Chicago.
Midway City.
Yeah, Midway City.
Midway City.
Yeah, but that could easily be Chicago. I think that could be Chicago, and then
Yeah.
Gotham
Maybe.
is
I can
New
see
York.
that.
So like the way I've always seen it is I've always imagined in my head Metropolis is New York, Gotham is Chicago, and Star City is like LA.
Yeah, and then
I
that's,
can imagine.
that's the other thing with Batman versus Superman. Metropolis and Gotham are like right next
Yeah,
to
they're
each other.
right across. They're
Oh,
literally
yeah.
you can see Gotham from Metropolis.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
Why
really-
isn't Gotham Minneapolis
Because
and then
really-
Metropolis is St. Paul?
They want it more believable that Superman and Batman could meet.
It was
That's-
really.
yeah.
I thought it was interesting though. I thought it was cool.
It was
I liked
interesting, but
Yeah.
it just like
It was
Well,
kind of
yeah.
surprising because they said okay, like go over there to Gotham, and it's like wait, like it's right there, like
Yeah.
that's Gotham right there. Whoa.
Damn, I could swim over there.
Yeah.
But I imagine Gotham as a more expanded Chicago.
Yeah. Like
Definitely a lot bigger than Chicago would be.
Gotham
one
has
of
the grittiness of Chicago.
One of the
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
also kind of pushes it is The Dark Knight was filmed in Chicago. And
Yeah.
so you could definitely
Oh, yeah.
recognize like Chicago. But I think also just the tone of like the cities and how they're portrayed. Dark Knight seems
well,
like a lot more.
I mean, it
like
also
Chicago.
depends what Metropolis you're looking at, but I always think of like Superman Returns Metropolis.
Yeah.
I always thought
I
New York
always
was
think of
solid.
I always think of just like Metropolis is a lot brighter and a lot more like optimistic and kind of it's a lot
The
more
shining
it's a
symbol, much
jewel
like
it's more of a
Superman
jewel
is.
city than
Yeah, that makes sense.
which
And
is
it
what-
fits the hero's forum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Superman's all bright and shining, and our hero Batman's just Darkman.
And there's just random things that, like, so geographically, like in the comics, Gotham is more New York-ish just by its geography alone.
Yeah.
But like, I always see Metropolis as New York, especially like even in like the Injustice games, like in the cutscenes they show Metropolis like a wide shot, and it's a long narrow island.
And
like
they have
New
the
York
Twin
would be.
Towers.
Oh,
right there.
and Gotham has an elevated train that's supposed to be like
Yeah.
Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, no, if you look really closely, you can see the Twin Towers in that shot. It's very in poor taste.
They
Superman and Zod
I-
fighting
it's-
Metropolis.
It's kind of interesting though because they mix their own cities and real cities. So you have like they mentioned Seattle and Boston a lot in DC comics and
Oh, yeah.
cartoons. So
Yeah.
Seattle and Boston are very much like established cities in there. But then you also have cities like Star City and Midway City and Gotham and Metropolis and stuff. And I've always seen Star City as a very either LA or San Francisco style city.
Why can't we ever get a rural superhero? They always have to come from a city.
Well,
Yeah.
doesn't Superman come from Smallville?
Yeah.
Well,
Smallville,
I
Kansas.
guess come from. Well,
And then
Well, wait, is
I
there,
guess,
any,
yeah.
is there any place like that in Marvel besides like Wakanda, where it's like trying to be
It's
real?
not a city?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, cause like again, Gotham is like their version of New York, or their version of Chicago, and Metropolis their version of New York. Is there anything like that in Marvel at all? The only thing I can think of is like Wakanda.
yeah, not that I know of.
I don't know. But so in both the comic universes on Marvel and DC side, are they to the point where they're just going from to different planets and shit? Because I feel like they've both done that.
Yeah, they've done that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like especially if you look at like Green Lantern and it's Green Lantern,
like space opera shit?
like Green
Yeah,
Lantern alone.
space opera.
Seems to be a lot more space opera than Marvel can get, but
Yeah.
they both have their moments.
Marvel even has
Yeah, it
has,
does.
like,
I mean,
Guardians
it
of
has
the
the Guardians of the
Galaxy
Galaxy and stuff,
But,
but
yeah, like DC, like Green Lantern alone is basically solely a space opera.
Yeah.
Like all the different lantern corps in space, and basically how there's only like one lantern. I don't know much about Green Lantern, but I think from what I understand, there's only like one lantern from each sector.
I think he has a ring or something.
Yeah,
and
and
it makes
it
a
might be
light.
green
It's like a
and-
flashlight
I think-
keychain.
I think he kind of looks like Ryan Reynolds.
yeah,
I don't-
considering
Yeah.
that the majority of the Justice League are like
Looks like Deadpool.
extraterrestrial based, like Superman's from Krypton, Green Lantern gets his powers from that place.
Martian Manhunter is literally a Martian.
Hawk Girl. I mean, if you want to count Amazonia, but I think
Hawk
that's on
Well,
Earth.
Hot Girl is just immortal, like or not.
No,
not
she's from
immortal,
a- she's from a
She's a
planet.
resurrected being. Well, depends what.
Is she from Asgard?
No, she was a.
That's Marvel.
Well, there's
Oh,
a couple.
fuck.
There's a couple different origins for her. One of them is she's like this ancient. Her and Hawkman are these ancient Egyptian like royalty basically, and they were made like so they get resurrected every time they die. And they're always like destined to find each other and be Hawkman and Hawk Girl basically.
Hot man and hot girl.
Hot man.
Well, no,
and hot
sexy
girl.
man and sexy
in
girl.
the Justice League cartoon, she's from another planet.
That yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And like,
Okay.
and then because there's a whole episode where her people like, or a whole two-parter where her people invade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess you could also tell it because the Justice League's headquarters is a space station versus like a skyscraper or a helicarrier for Marvel superheroes. I guess I mean that's the only other thing I can think of in terms of
And then-
directly
yeah,
contrasting
and
the
then Wonder
space
Woman.
opera-ness.
Wonder Woman's Amazonian.
Is that on
Yeah.
Earth though, or is that a plane of existence?
I think it's a.
Yeah, what does more alternate reality like different dimensional plane shit? DC or Marvel?
Well, DC had the whole Crisis on Infinite Earths thing that just destroyed all the multiverses, but like they have a lot of.
Like Marvel has like Doctor Strange dimensions,
especially
stuff like that.
Flash.
Oh, the Doctor Strange movie looks really good.
Oh yeah, I know because you hadn't seen that trailer.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw it before. Snastcast.
But the Flash does a lot of like interdimensional and time and like travel through time and things like that.
Dude,
Um,
I'm sure they have, but how do they explain how he can run so fast to do that and not destroy himself? Wait, who?
They basically
The Flash. Running
it's
the
basically
Flash.
how that he channels the Speed Force, and it's just kind of like
All the Speed Force?
Yeah,
is that
remember
part of
all of
Einstein's
Flash's
theory?
powers are magic?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he's basically magic. Like he
Okay.
No,
like
the Speed Force is literally a
Yeah.
magical
Well, because,
thing.
isn't it because of his metabolism? He just heals really fast.
yeah, oh yeah.
Wait, what are you meaning he can run fast to do? Oh, because
He can like go through different dimensions by running fast.
He's like the most broken thing ever.
Yeah. That's why. That's why like Barry Allen and Wally West and stuff have to eat all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have a super fast metabolism but they can heal broken bones in like
They
hours.
fucking vibrate through walls.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
so
remember.
basically it's like the Speed Force that protects them.
There's a-
and their fast metabolism that just heals any like microfractures.
There's a comic where he, or like part of a comic where he saves the entire population of a Korean city. It's like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people, and he does it in like a blink of an eye, like a few seconds, and someone calculated he's going like 13 trillion times the speed of light or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the fucking Enterprise never went that fast. Well, no, they did. They got to infinite speed in one episode, but it's just ridiculous.
They get the ludicrous speed in
They-
one episode.
So
They
if
go to plaid.
if Flash can go this fast, how could he just kill every member of the Justice League if he wanted
Yeah.
He can suck the air. Like he can. One of his things that he does all the time is he runs in a circle so fast that he sucks all the oxygen out of the space in the middle
Well,
of
he
it.
can, but it seems like also Flash can accelerate almost instantaneously to like an insanely high speed.
Oh, yeah.
So if he's got a given amount of mass and an insanely high acceleration, his punches can generate the most incredible amount of force that could just
It depends.
rip things apart.
It kind of depends because he does need a running start for a lot of things. Like he can accelerate really really fucking fast, and he gets faster as like his story goes on. But especially towards the beginning, he did have to have a running start to do certain things. Like if he wanted to punch somebody at the speed of sound or something, he would have to have a running start of a certain distance and things like that. And he couldn't just go from 0 to top speed instantly. Like he did have to build up speed. But
That's why I
he's got
never liked Flash. Like
Superman is like so broken, but he's Superman, so it's broken. But Flash is just, come on, man. We already got Superman. You don't need to make this other insanely broken character. I don't know. That's why I like Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter can do a lot of crazy shit that no one else can do.
And
Yet he's scared of fire, and he just loses it. Yeah. And it's my favorite parts of the Justice League cartoon when like Martian Manhunter's doing all this cool shit, like disguising himself as people. Someone lights a match.
What's his powers?
He can shapeshift and he has like telepathy. Like he can move objects and read minds and stuff like that.
And he's got the coolest voice of all the Justice League members.
He can basically he's a normal Martian for the most part. Like all Martians have telepathic powers.
But all the Martians got killed.
Yeah.
Bummer.
But yeah, so he.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's a cool dude.
I'm excited for the next Batman movie.
Yeah.
Isn't it directed by Ben Affleck? I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Gorilla Groot as the main one.
He's a good Batman. I like him as Batman.
And he's a really good director.
Wait, so who's gonna? No, because I was wondering with John, who's gonna be the villain in the Justice League movie?
Did they show in the trailer?
No.
No,
I think so.
It might be the Joker.
I think they're probably gonna do Joker for the Batman one.
It could be.
And I heard somewhere that Gorilla Groot is gonna be in, or Gorilla Grodd, whatever his name is.
They're definitely gonna have Apocalypse at some point because they showed Apocalypse's symbol on Batman's
what?
outfit.
Apocalypse is an X-Men villain.
Or not, no, he's
Darkseid?
He's also Apocalypse is the planet in DC.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Darkseid, but
Darkseid.
Yeah, Darkseid, and then Steppenwolf was in the extended version.
Oh, it's probably gonna be him then.
Darkseid is he's a pretty big guy.
Steppenwolf
for you.
one of his lieutenants and stuff.
Bane. It's just gonna be Bane again.
It's just gonna be Bane.
Bane just cut another version of the Titan Venom and just
it's Bane and it's Tom Hardy again, but they just throw it on him because DC Universe is going so fast, so he doesn't have time to prepare. So he's just he's a skinny Bane this time.
He becomes the size of a moon.
And they don't have enough money to make his mask right, so they just buy one of the Walmart costume masks.
And it turns out, and the only way they can defeat him is they have to resurrect CIA.
They have to resurrect Lord Baelish, Peter Baelish.
He's gonna
it's literally Peter Baelish. They just wrote the wrong character. Some idiot on the writing team was put Littlefinger in there, and he's like, okay, I will.
Wait,
I was just talking about the actor, you idiot.
Did you mean Aidan Gillian? He's like, no, I mean Littlefinger. That's his name, right?
He writes Littlefinger from Game of Thrones into Justice League.
I can't remember if I read or not, but in Batman v Superman, the theatrical edition, did they show the clips of all the Justice League members?
Yeah, they show.
Computer?
Yeah. It's one of the biggest gripes is why does Lex Luthor take the time to do graphic design for their logos?
He made professional logos for each superhero.
Yeah. I thought that was.
And I could have won $20 from John for this.
Oh yeah, there was a guy in there that I didn't.
So in the Cyborg, when they're showing a clip from Cyborg,
spoiler alert.
No, it was Wonder Woman, right? Wonder Woman was looking at the clips on Lex Luthor's computer, and she sees one of Cyborg, and it's a guy working on Cyborg, basically.
It's his dad working on Cyborg.
Yeah, and I would have swore to God it was the guy from Terminator 2. It was Miles Dyson. Yeah. And John bet me $20 that it wasn't him. He was damn sure of it.
It didn't.
And I was damn sure it was him. And it was him, and I only got $1 from him.
That's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny that he's the leader of Skynet.
I guess he just looks like a smart black man that would make robots.
He's making robots.
I guess that's the type of. He's typecast.
The Flash looks cool.
I don't know any the only one I'm really excited for is Aquaman.
At this point, watching these movies, you have to look at them at a different lens.
Yeah,
they are a different type of movie, so they're just about fun, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to have fun with where they go with it.
I really like the CW Flash.
The show.
The Barry Allen that they have, the Flash that they have there. I think I like the show. They're not the best.
I don't like any of those shows.
They're really They're really cheesy and over the top and just really melodramatic a lot of times. But I mean, they're entertaining.
I've never watched one of the DC ones.
Decent.
I've only ever watched the Marvel ones.
Marvel ones are objectively better. I'm just saying.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
is not good.
No, I mean in general, if you just average
the Netflix Marvel ones.
Oh yeah, the Netflix one. Yes,
that's what I was talking about.
Those are the pinnacle of.
Oh yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s garbage. But
but they're not bad. Like they're fun. They're
Just-
fun.
yeah,
they're fun
Objectively
TV show.
speaking, you can like things that aren't objectively,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
And also,
like things that are perfectly
also,
I mean,
also-
I think the second season of Daredevil is absolute shit in
Yeah.
Netflix, but
I'm
like,
kind of spoiled too because like Green Arrow has always been like one of my favorite heroes behind Superman. That's the one that I read the most comics of, so I'm always like, yeah, Green Arrow. When they had the when they had a fight where he was like fighting this boxer guy and he shot an arrow through a hanging boxing glove and it hit the guy in the face and made the boxing glove arrow, and I was like, yeah, boxing glove arrow, this is the best day of my life. I was so excited because that's such a dumb
I'm also glad
Easter
they, speaking of guys who shoot arrows in Civil War, when they put the thing where they canonized the team up of Hawkeye and Ant-Man of him riding on his arrow.
Oh yeah.
Because that's like a big thing they do in the comics. It's just so awesome.
Well, he uses the Pym particles a lot. Like Hawkeye has this arrow that's literally like 1,000 arrows shrunk down into a head of an arrow, and when he fires it, it grows them, and it's literally just
All they're doing is shooting bow and arrows. Why are they so cool?
It's like enough, yeah. It's supposed to be like enough arrows to like block out the sky and stuff. Just like thousands upon thousands of arrows.
That's
And-
OP.
Yeah.
Our arrows will blot out the sun.
His like the draw strength on his bow is supposed to be like just enough that it would break your arm if you were a normal person.
Well, I mean, he's used to disarming explosives in Iraq.
So what's
he's
his
probably
power exactly? Is he just
he's just
really good with a bow and
he's just
arrow?
really fucking good with a bow and arrow.
He's
the
like,
same
he's like
thing-
Deadshot.
It's the same thing with Green Arrow. Like he's just really fucking good with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Like that's his whole power, and he uses just technology and just kind
That's
of.
so
brains to
cool
get
because
around
it's
it.
like these are people who can contend with guys with literal superpowers, and they're just good at shooting guns and bow and arrows. They can kick their asses.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I know Will Smith's Deadshot is a lot different from the comic Deadshot.
It's
I
a
guess.
lot more. Simple.
But I liked it.
I did too. I liked him a lot. I didn't think I would like him, but I did like him a lot.
That
He
scene
was
where he
really
stands
good.
up on the car and then just mows
yeah.
down all those guys is so awesome.
I really liked how they did like kind of go really all out with the fact that he literally never misses.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't miss. And they also did the thing where he can reflect bullets off all these different surfaces. And
surfaces.
stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like he uses his lens to like predict
The
the
introduction assassination scene was really cool.
yeah.
Where he's just haggling with the guy and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, and he like in he does that a lot where he'll like reflect it off like walls and like surfaces and stuff and like bounce it like 10 times before it hits you. And
He did miss once though.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
spoilers. Well,
Spoiler again.
I mean, we've spread out these spoilers so much. This entire
The whole thing
podcast
is
is
a
poison.
spoiler.
at
It's
this
a
point.
spoiler channel.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I would have swore there was like. Oh, I'm thinking of Bullseye. Because he can throw shit again. Like, he's a master of any projectile. But I know he always, like, ricochets shit. And then I always think of Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3. Because he always.
Our fuck, I forgot his name. Deadshot. Sorry, are Deadshot and Deathstroke in the same universe?
Yeah.
So,
Because Deathstroke.
I feel like
DC, yeah.
yeah, Deathstroke is like one of the biggest Green Arrow and Batman villains.
he's Slade in Teen Titans, but I feel like that'd be
Ron Perlman.
a good team up. Him and Deathstroke.
I think.
They could probably do some damage.
They could kick ass. And they got very similar
I
costumes.
mean, yeah,
They
they're
could do
both like Deathstroke
And then
is.
just throw Deadpool in there.
Yeah, Deathstroke is like a big.
Marvel.
He's a really big Batman, and he's a pretty big like rival to Green Arrow too.
Oh,
And
okay.
Deadshot is too. Like Deadshot has some pretty. I don't know.
And then there's,
I don't know.
and then,
Deathshot
there's
is pretty-
and then of course
Yeah,
there's
he's
the
pretty
imitation one in Marvel, which is Deathlock. It's terrible.
Oh yeah.
I do have to say the Deathstroke from the from the CW Arrow show is
Oh, yeah.
amazing. He's so good at
I
Deathstroke.
just
heard
think
that.
Slade is. I think it's hard to top Slade because Slade was so good.
Slade is like
because
a villain.
there's so many Teen Titan villains that are just goofy as shit, like Mumbo the Magician and Mad Mod and shit like that.
Slade is the
But
serious one.
Slade is just freaky.
Yeah, he's really good. He plays he's the main dwarf who goes like power hungry and crazy in The Hobbit. Like that's the guy who plays Deadshot.
Oh really?
So he's really intense and like scary
Oh.
and shit. And he
Okay, that's a little weird.
he's super good. Like there's a scene. I don't know if I should spoil it. I don't know. There's some really, really fucking good scenes in it. And he's so intense and just frightening. It's really cool.
Man, Teen Titans movie / rebooted TV series when?
Never.
God
Sorry. Teen Titans Go ruined
That
it.
show was so good.
It was good. It was really good.
Oh,
Not Teen Titans Go, the original one.
No, yeah.
Grant,
Teen Titans Go was
I think
trash.
I think you would like Young Justice if you like Teen Titans.
That's
like,
what they say. I tried to watch Young Justice and I couldn't really.
It's
do it.
really slow to start out with.
I
but
honestly
once
would rather watch the Justice League. I thought the Justice League
that one's great.
animated series did good justice.
That one's
I
great.
always love the episode. It's a two-parter where Joker puts a bomb in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
And he makes them fight the Royal Flush Gang, and the Royal Flush Gang is all voiced by members of the Teen Titans, like people who voice the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, it's such a good
I remember that
cameo.
episode too. But yeah, I've been watching Young Justice recently because I've been meaning to. But it's pretty good actually. Like I'm really surprised how kind of intense it can be. It's good. It's a good show and it's fun and it's really. I like that it's really unpredictable a lot of times. Like they have a lot of really unique plots and storylines and enough characters that like you can kind of they each get their own time in the spotlight, but you can still have like cool ensemble fights and stuff like that. And they have like the origins of like Beast Boy and like all these different ones and Santana and kind of
Santana, legendary guitarist.
Yeah,
The
Santana.
origin of Santana.
And they have
Not on
some
Netflix.
they have like
I can see that.
they have some new ones too. Like Artemis is a new one who's like a female Green Arrow sidekick. She's pretty cool,
What am I
but
thinking of?
yeah, it's pretty good overall.
Oh, like, what do you think? Because again, I was saying how Slade in Teen Titans is so awesome because there's so many goofy villains before him. But like, is there another show that does that? Like, where it has a really creepy, dark, like big villain? Like the other one in Teen Titans is what's Raven's dad's name again?
Slab.
Yeah. Oh, he's in one episode.
It's Trigon.
Trigon, yeah.
Yeah.
Trigon.
Her dad.
Vash the Stampede. Like, yeah, in that show, Vash the Stampede, in Trigun they do it, because there's like all these goofy like bounty hunters he fights, like some are awesome and others are super goofy, but then he fights fucking millions knives and that guy's awesome and super dark.
You know when they get to the serious enemy, the show is really kicking.
Yeah, the only other one I can think of is in Adventure Time, because you get
Oh,
like all these
the
goofy
Lich?
guys and you get like the Ice King, and the Ice King is a super tragic villain,
Yeah.
but he's not like dark and stuff, but the Lich is insanely dark. Like,
I wish Adventure Time was not as memey, but it kind of has to be Adventure Time.
yeah.
But it has a really cool background and lore to it.
And I think the Lich is one of the coolest villains I've ever seen. Again, Ron Perlman. Just get Ron Perlman to voice every villain, and then you're just set.
No,
Put a bunch of goofy people voiced by like Tom Kenny and like all these other like high pitched voice actors and stuff,
The meme
and then you get
actors.
Ron Perlman, and the memers,
Well-
and then you get Ron Perlman to come in and bring out the big guns.
You know that Adam Sandler movie, Jack and Jill, that was complete trash?
Yeah, sure.
That would have been so much better with Ron Perlman instead of Adam
Ron
Sandler.
Perlman just dubs over all of Adam Sandler's lines.
Yeah.
No, but you can't oversaturate the Ron Perlman. You can't Sons of Anarchy Ron Perlman.
Oh,
Or you can't fucking...
Ron Perlman
you
is-
can't
is a specialty.
Hellboy the Ron Perlman. You can only get him in there for that. He's like the spice. You gotta sprinkle him on top. You can't overdo him, or else it's gonna take us awful.
You can put a little salt in your dish to flavor it up a little bit, maybe some pepper, but you can't just pour an entire salt shaker in there.
Yeah, you we should
And
just
expect it
put
to taste good.
Ron Perlman's face over salt shakers and pepper shakers. Like,
Yeah.
this is the exact amount of Ron Perlman you need in your movie and or TV show to
It's
make
the
it
Ron,
good.
it's the Ron Perlman index.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the man's a legend. It's the voice. Like, the only other person I can think that has that great depth of voice is who's the guy that voices Steve Bloom. He's a voice actor. Like, he could do it.
Steve Bloom. Isn't that the name of the guy from Nightcrawler?
What?
That's his name. That's
Oh,
Steve
no,
Bloom
but-
is his name in Nightcrawler.
But his name
Lou
is spelled
Bloom.
B.
Lou Bloom is in
Bloom.
Nightcrawler. Never mind.
God, why doesn't Lou Bloom have his own TV series
Yeah,
yet?
what the fuck? I'd watch it actually.
Oh my god, Nightcrawler is such a good movie.
It really is.
It is so... The scene where he's negotiating with her on the price of his like footage, as well as negotiating whether or not she should have sex with him,
Oh, yeah.
is fucking brilliant.
And his sidekick, what's
His
the actor's
sidekick's
name?
good.
Riz Ahmed.
Is in.
He's the main guy in The Night of.
And he's gonna
And
be
he's-
in.
He's an awesome actor. He's incredible.
And he's also gonna be in Rogue One.
oh, is he?
Yep.
Riz Ahmed is in
He
Rogue
plays
One?
an Imperial pilot. Yeah.
Holy shit.
You must like that guy.
He's one of my favorite actors right
God,
now.
I don't know how Rogue One is gonna be, but I hope it's gonna be great.
All right, this podcast has to be a little shorter because we got places to be and we got
Things to
lives.
go,
We
people
got
to shake hands with,
stuff
and
to
getting
do.
shaken hands are.
And
to watch some
we
movies
put this
sometimes.
off until the
I need to
fucking
watch
last
a
minute.
lot.
Yeah.
We were literally like, we have to do a podcast right now, guys. We have to do it right
This
now.
is the last day we could do
I
it.
still have to watch Stranger Things.
It's really
Stranger
good.
Things is
Watch
good.
it.
I'll watch
a couple
it.
of
I'll probably
episodes,
watch
it's
all of
really
it
good. Like,
before the
pacing's
next
right.
podcast.
If you like David Cronenberg, if you like Steven Spielberg, if you like Stephen King,
if you like the movie Super
watch
8,
it. If you like
watch
Super 8,
Stranger Things.
if you like the Goonies,
Yeah.
I
watch
just
it.
hope that the
If
trailer.
you like E.T., watch
Okay,
it.
that was
Yeah.
the other thing. I was talking about there's so many trailers. Why are they showing trailers for TV shows before movies? They showed a Stranger Things trailer, and I was worried about that
Oh,
trailer
yeah. That was
because
weird.
I hadn't seen a single trailer for it. I wanted to go in completely blind, and I got spoiled on that trailer. Like now, I kind of get a vague sense of the premise.
rip.
It'll rip you a new one. Like there's no way.
There's a lot.
There's no way.
I
you
know,
can
there's a
anticipate
lot, but,
everything that's
like,
gonna happen.
Oh, I just.
Oh, the actor that played the sheriff in Stranger Things is in
Use your words.
Super Squad.
Suicide.
Oh,
Who
Murder
does he play?
yourself, team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killing yourself.
He's
team.
one of he's like the black lady's right hand man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman. That's his name.
He's a sheriff in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Now I want to watch it. Joel
He's
Kinnaman's awesome.
one
a
of the
really
main
good actor.
characters in the
He's
show.
also the bad guy of season 4 of House of Cards. So, yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's like the.
And then
Governor.
what's her name?
Ooh. I don't. Winona
Scribe-
Ryder.
Winona Ryder. Yeah, she's the other. She's one of the
Winona
other-
Ryder's in it.
Yeah, she's
Remember
really
that
good.
time she got put on trial for being a witch?
Oh yeah.
Wait,
That's fun.
that was like the only other movie I remember is that shitty movie. I hated it.
All right, we got it. We got to wrap this
Oh,
up. We always do this.
The Crucible.
The Crucible. The Crucible
I
of
remember
Worlds.
the Crucible.
There's more we could talk about,
Cash
but
land cards from
not this
Green Day.
episode. Sorry, we're cutting it. We're cutting it soon.
John's killing us.
We always do
Press
this.
the button.
John's
we always
Just
go.
press the button right now.
No,
Don't let him say
Wait,
the
hold
stupid
on.
phrase. Just press the button.
Hold on.
Speak. You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. That's a long time.
Yeah, wait, never mind.
No,
Speak
press the
quickly.
button.
Well, now you can't say 3 minutes. Now we got to
Just
go for
rap,
another 3
just
minutes, so
rap
they're gonna be
song.
like, "Where's my other 3 minutes of content? What am I
Everybody's.
paying? What am I not paying you
We're
guys?"
gonna
for?
lose all our subscribers, Brad.
This is terrible.
Press the button. Remember that
All of
time
our
when
all of
people
our
thought
Russian subscribers.
I'm gonna wait till the time is right.
Yes.
What do you? Waffles. You got anything to say about waffles, you guys?
I remember that time when people thought that bees were aerodynamically capable of flying.